Can I speak first? I'm going to Northern Cape.
Oh, all right. No. I see it. This is a negotiated settlement.
I still have to decide whether to.
I have to go.
No. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, SG.
Okay. No, my apologies. I have to go to Northern Cape, so we're closing the conference of the ANC there. Zamani have spoken nice things there. So we need to go and close the conference, and my apologies to the panel. I did indicate and the media that we have to go to the Northern Cape to address the conference of the ANC. But nonetheless, we're to be here in the morning so that we represent the voice of the African National Congress in our engagement with political parties. That is honorable and that is proper. First, I think I want to start with the clarification, not even clarification, just to dispel some of the things that have been said in general, undertones, and all of that in the media and everywhere else. Somebody somewhere is claiming easy victory. It's not correct. When we first met and we went, and I started in the beginning with 2%, you were told that in the executive, 2% was rejected by ANC ministers together with the DA. Budget was postponed, which that began to tell you that we are in a new terrain. Something that you are not used to happened. I was there in Parliament ready to listen to the Minister of Finance delivering budget. Budget, boom, postponed. It happened. And then we went backwards. The issue was the budget. It was reviewed. Others behind the scenes said 0.5% on conditions the following things do happen. We said these things don't belong to the budget. There's been a long, tedious, arduous process of engagement with political parties. And I want not to speak on behalf of these political parties. Majority of them rejected VAT increase. The ANC included. But the ANC position with the review of 0.5% was informed by the fact that the budget had to cross and there was no alternative to other sources of revenue in terms of the budget. We understand perfectly that budget is regressive and all of that. And then they said, we mitigate the budget. Essential goods are zero rated. It doesn't make sense to our people and everyone else when we use the buzzword poor. You must ask me as Minister of Transport when it comes to e-tolls. Even people who were using buses were opposed to e-tolls. Who didn't pay e-tolls? Buses and taxis, they were not affected. But the black and the middle strata in South Africa in general protested and said no to e-tolls, and they were not paid. So we come to the budget, no to VAT increase. And this was what was coming in terms of engagement. Now, it was not one single political party. From the parties that are here, IFP was opposed, Action SA, I'm talking in the GNU, I'm talking PA in the GNU, good, and everybody were opposed. And then outside, BUSA, Action SA were opposed to VAT. So there can never be a question of easy victory claim that this is apportioned to us. We won it on your behalf as South Africans. And I think that will be easy victory. The fact of the matter is that political parties have stood firm and were very clear, and they chose the path of engagement, which is what has happened and brought us to where we are today. And I can tell you that in the past 3 weeks, we spent sleepless nights talking about the budget. What can be done, what cannot be done, even before. And in those discussions, the DA featured too. In those discussions, the DA featured too. we talked lastly with everyone last week, including EFF and everyone. We engaged. We engaged with the DA. We agreed that we are going to have a follow-up this coming week, which started yesterday, to conclude our discussions. But already with these parties, there was clarity about the way forward from our engagement. You've got our statements. Every time we met, we shared statements, not common statement. We will issue as the ANC, the other political party will. You will see in those statements consistency. So when you extract the truth, you must extract it from the facts, like the Chinese say. So there's no concoction here. Overnight, concoction, drink. And what is it? We have won. People started to draft statements and posturing when they realized there is a media briefing. We knew by that time that our answers have been met. The ANC was the last to make a submission to the Minister of Finance because we respect the independence of the Treasury. In all the negotiations we had, Enoch was not part of them. Ask them. He was not party to that. We excused him from those discussions because it was the ANC engaging and not the Treasury engaging with political parties. There was a different path in terms of Treasury that engaged with political parties. So there is no victory that is being claimed here. The fact that political parties chose the path of the courts in itself is their own determination. But I can tell you, before Easter, there was unanimity among us. And even when we went to the ANC, our negotiating position was affirmed that even by the ANC, that VAT must be reversed. Only if there are alternative sources of addressing the shortfall. And the statement of the Treasury is addressing that. Now, others went to court because it is their right to go to court and all of that. And then went to court with government. We were not cited in court and we were not there. But it is within their right to go to court. And in this particular instance, the pronouncement by Treasury came earlier than whatever they were asking from the courts. And that is the reality. That's what has actually happened in this short space of time. And we have never asked the DA to withdraw the case in court because that is their call. And in our meeting, we did talk about the case, but they explained themselves that they are already in court and they are going ahead in terms of their court case and all of that. And if they then decided that after our engagement, there is a need to review our stance and to resolve and settle matters out of court, they would have done that. So why do you do that post facto? When the minister announced that I'm reversing VAT, you are now prepared to engage with the lawyers. And I'm not going to speak for government. And the minister can speak about it. Maybe in terms of law, it makes sense for them, I don't know. But as the ANC, we never ask anyone to withdraw from court. We went with this process because we believed in this process. And what did you say as the media? You said my man is compromised. He has compromised, he must close shop. As for Hellen, he doesn't know politics and all of that. He must close shop. ANC is going to dupe him. Look, integrity is everything we are fighting for. Deficit of trust among political parties and among South Africans is important. It has waned away over time. And we said when we engaged with parties, they said, no, we believe in the process. And this is what we want. From the time of passing the budget framework, I never understood doublespeak on these political parties. Even Action SA was attacked because it was the decider. That day we were supposed to have lost the budget framework. But Action SA said, no, we can't hold the country at ransom. And the same as Rise Mzansi, we've got reservations about this budget, the same as IFP. They said, we are going ahead with this. And that's it. And today, I see Hellen says that ANC Mbalula is meeting with small parties. Now, I mean, there's no small here. Everybody here got a seat over 100,000 to be in parliament. And they've got a right to be here or not to be here. But being here, we constitute a majority. We are a majority as we stand here, as these political parties. And then we can decide what we want to do. We could have decided, and we could have decided that we persuade these political parties agree with that. I'm not talking on their behalf. In our meetings and discussions we've had with them, we never had a discussion about why 0.5 must stay. We never. We said as the ANC, if we replace 0.5, we must find sources, because for us as the ANC, social spending is important. Teachers must be employed. Health workers must be employed. And then it is important that the SRD, social security net, must be sustained. That's what we said as we engaged with them in those particular discussions. And, you know, we are the largest party in the government of national unity. And we can't play dice with the lives of South Africans and lie to them about things that are unrealistic, that won't happen. And in this particular instance, we understand the responsibility to govern this country more than the DA or anyone else. We've got the responsibility to lead this country, not to collapse, not to be reduced to rubble with our largest 40%. We want South Africa to succeed. We want growth. We want our people to get employment. And we are not going to play marbles with people's lives around the issue of the budget. That's why I'm talking uncharted waters, the need to engage and to talk to everybody. And that's what we've done. And we use the word not guardedly, but for what it means. National interest. Okay? National interest. And other people said, no, this thing of reversing VAT at this moment is going to hurt you as the ANC, because others will take victory to themselves. But the ANC is bigger than a show by a fly-by-night, you know, victory. We're looking at the future. And we're looking at this budget, gathering experience and what we need to do going forward. We've never been here governing a country as a coalition. And it is important that we need to engage and engage with everybody. Even as the ANC, when VAT 2% came, it was a shock in our system. And that is why even at the 11th minute, this was postponed. The deputy president was mandated to engage. He did. There was shifting of goalposts together with the minister at the level of the executive. We kept being briefed about this. We thought there would be a solution. There was agreement, there were conditions and all of that and so on. But it came to the point where in which, when we got to the finance committee, there were a point of difference, and political parties chose South Africa more than just narrow political interest. We are here today. Why shouldn't they celebrate? Because that is the victory that belonged to them in terms of engaging with us and agreeing with us that can we get VAT out of the way and get the budget going? Because there's a lot that is good in this budget. There's a lot that is good in this budget that serves the people of South Africa. So long after people have celebrated peacetime, we will still be here. And it doesn't mean that we've got to agree. We've got, we don't even have a supply and confidence with Action SA or BUSA and Rise Mzansi. But at the end of the day, we cooperate with them in the context of the GNU, whereas they are opposition parties in government. And then we are in government, and we are in the government of national unity, and we also work with everybody. in that particular context. And then the issue of the DA, no, there's nothing sinister about that. We're supposed to meet with the DA today. We couldn't meet because we had this press conference. And I wrote to Hellen at night, and I told her that it's impossible. Because she had a day in court, Nama didn't disturb her. She was in court from 6 a.m. I don't know when did they finish. Namdi busy. Nabantu bang. The ANC is busy. I can't abandon these South Africans who have said, ANC, we want to work with you. And then we want to deal with this particular issue. All of a sudden, I must get here in the morning. I'm not available. I'm busy with Hellen. Abantu bazadobanda ibuzi hindoni mhlekazi nawe no Hellen anigqibi and so on. So we said that, Julie, with respect, let's have a meeting on Friday. And then we didn't have it today. We'll have it on Friday between the ANC and the DA. And that's what is going to happen. So there's nothing that is, what we're going to meet about was not about this. We had to go to Cisco and finish our business that we're doing in terms of the budget. And now we have reached a point where in which, in terms of the budget, we agree on VAT, and it has now been pronounced. There's a second stage of now implementing in Parliament the stage of resetting the budget. And I want to deal with that particular point, and other colleagues can deal with that. In terms of scrapping of the budget and the process, our understanding is that the VAT issue was submitted as part of the Money Matters Amendment Bill by the Minister to Parliament. That is the first thing that we understand. Secondly, Minister has to submit another bill to the Speaker, withdrawing the initial bill and replacing it with a new, which means as we speak right now, Treasury and Legislature must have activated the processes. It's automatic. Whether it's over 3 days, 4 days, that must happen. So, done. And then it means because they've celebrated and they've claimed victory, it means they agree with the process. Now, there is a second stage which we must now begin to look at in terms of the statement. Is the statement, but we still have to discuss the content of the second phase in terms of if you cut, what do you cut? And then if you get extra revenue from SARS collection, we are very happy about that. We are afloat. Social spending will continue, nothing will be affected. As the ANC, we are happy with that. It's there in the statement of the minister. And then you've got to read that statement to understand it properly, and so on. Of course, we're worried about 0.5%. If there's no alternative, it means everything else must slow down in terms of transformation. You are correct that the ANC would have done things a bit different because we got for the interest of the people we represent, but the program we're carrying in government, particularly in addressing what we call redress, and that is what is important. And lastly, we understand that the Speaker will then send it to the Standing Committee on Finance, and that is the process that is going to unfold. When did the minister inform us? 7 a.m. or when did the letter come out? We engaged and he responded through the statement. When did you get the statement? 7 a.m. Yeah, so Khutato said kungalalo, so it means he had it before. So not we didn't sleep, midnight, we got it then, that this has been. But over and above that statement, with the submissions that were made, it was very clear that we have reached a consensus. And we had to come together and then agree that this has been agreed. And that is why we agreed to meet at 9 a.m. and to have a press conference. So we knew that our our demand and the consensus that we've been talking about has been agreed to. And that is why we did not rush ahead of the minister, because we will be putting the cart before the horse. So minister was not forced, he was engaged. So I've seen a lot of reports that there was enforcement. The key question to us was that there is source of revenue to close the short. That is why they went to court to challenge the processes. But we then had a political process of engagement, and then it arrived at a conclusion. And when we met with political parties, we said, as the ANC, we are ready for the minister to reverse this. We explained to political parties, the ANC doesn't run Treasury. Treasury is an independent body, an institution, and it must be protected and be supported for what it is. We don't want to run Treasury. We know of people who wanted to run Treasury, where they ended. They couldn't finish a weekend in government, so they became weekend special. So we don't want to run Treasury, and you will understand what I'm talking about. It's not a joke, because one weekend Treasury was being messed up, this country was reduced to rubbles. And then we had to embark on a particular process to come back. We don't want to run Treasury. We have never run Treasury. We have submitted to the minister. He responded to us, and that is what is important. Very good if he also engaged with the DA, which he did, and then with all other political parties. Political parties did not have an answer to the budget constraint we are facing. They were on another level. DA had a bucket of things that we can discuss and negotiate, even post-budget, and agree on. And some of them are on the agenda of government. What are those issues? Concessions. What are those issues? Budget spending review. Are we interested in that? We are discussing that. President announced that in the State of the Nation address. Operation Vulindlela, dissolution. I headed rail policy and delivered on record time. It addresses the question of what must happen in terms of dissolution when it comes to rail in this country. There is policy. We can refer you to that. And then those are the things they wanted. We said these have got nothing to do with the budget. The people who raised issues that matter in terms of the budget is the political parties we're engaging with, who said that budget increase is a problem to us. But we said, okay, Minister, go and your team look at mitigating. That's why budget was postponed. Now, that's what happened. And that is the process we're about, and that is it. Now, in the era of votes, and you've got to project yourself as a Tarzan in this government of national unity, that you are not here for free, you can win something. And so Bella Act cannot be passed, NHI cannot be passed. It's what the leader and the president of Rise Mzansi is talking about, and he uses the word extortion, that we're stopping this extortion. Look, when you tell people that I will deliver water, but you know you don't have capacity, you are misleading people. They will kill you tomorrow, because you are lying to them to get votes. Now, if you say to people, vote for me, I'm going to the government of national unity, and then I'll stop the ANC from passing Bella. But before, you knew that Bella was passed by the 6th administration, and it is in the desk of the president. You knew that. You knew that the NHI was passed, it has gone all stages, and then it's in the desk of the president, and it is signed off. And if the only way you can stop it is if you go to court and win. Now, if you tell people that you will stop it and you will change it, you are hoodwinking people and basically taking them for a ride. You are misleading them. It's not possible. When we talked with the DA and engaged with them, we didn't say in our talks going to the government of national unity that it include all the bills that have been passed by the sixth administration must be reversed. That was not there even in the statement of intent. We will have to negotiate everything else now in the government of national unity that has got to happen. If we want a new bill, there is a process. If we want to pass a budget, like now, there is a process we've got to undertake. And chartered waters means that that thing of passing budget and treasury presenting it to parliament without talking about it, it's over. We need to talk about the budget, its implications, even with parties who are outside the GNU and those who are within, and talk about the budget. And this is what we said we need to do going forward. Why vet in the first place? I've answered that question. And then my last point, News 24, Minister of Finance, there's no need to reshuffle the minister. He has done the job that is expected of him to do. He has consulted political parties. Those who chose not to engage him did not engage him. We engaged with political parties. Others told us that they didn't tell us about the budget. They talked politics and slogans. Others said to us, get rid of so and so, and then we will talk. That's not budget. That's not budget. When you get to parliament, you want to pass the budget, and somebody is holding a gun and say, get rid of Mahlengi, I'm in. So if I get rid of Mahlengi, this budget, you will support it even in its state. You need to then come to us and talk about the content of the budget. So we realized there that there's no talks there. There's nothing to talk about. If you say to us that get rid of people and before. We engaged here with political parties that are here before you. They didn't say to us, I can see Vuyo Mvoko is getting there to say that they want to get in. It's Kenny who talked about it. And he was saying it in jest. The question of the GNU reconfiguration. We have always said that reconfiguration depends on conduct and then also depend. If you say that I'm not supporting this thing and I'm in government, it means you're defining yourself outside. The fact that you're still here, we are shocked. So the fact of the matter that you are still here, we are shocked because you can't support something that you have not been party to. And that has been the issue before us, and we put it across. So if you say to us, politically, I won't engage with you on the budget up until these people get out, and then we ask a strategic question. What in the budget you think represent neoliberalism or anything of that sort? That discussion does not arise because people say these are the terms. But when we talk to Action SA, they say, on no uncertain terms, we don't want VAT increase. We don't want that. We're unapologetic about it. We say we don't want it, but let's understand each other. We did not defend. And then we agreed that it must go away. It is gone. We are happy. It opens a new chapter in terms of how we look at the budget and what needs to happen in a very short space of time, in less than 5 days and all of that, or whatever that needs to happen. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and Parliament is grinding as we speak. Where is the money going to come from is addressed in the statement. Very clear, unambiguous. In the statement of the minister, SARS revenue collection will address the shortfall, but equally, budget will be reviewed in the long term to ensure that we stay close in terms of the issues that we want to address. Daily Maverick, what will be cut? We have not even arrived at that. What will be cut? And all of that, if it has to be cut, it means it's the second process that we are going to be embarking upon going forward. So in conclusion, I'm saying that on behalf of the African National Congress, we support the minister's statement with these political parties. And I want to thank everyone who have trusted our engagement when we invited and they responded. There was no big brother approach in terms of this. And those who disagreed left. And they did not even leave, but they did not even come. Those who disagreed with us, they wrote us a love letter and said, thank you, we're not coming. And then there are just two political parties, three. We didn't engage. I don't know why the other one we didn't, but I won't mention them by names. We are not here for that. But I want to thank all political parties for engaging with us. This is not the end. We're still going to engage going forward. It was a difficult process, but it has given us the result. And the result is very clear that VAT is scrapped, increase. And then it will stay at 15%, and that is what has actually happened. And so we are very much happy about that. And we're looking forward to taking discussions forward in terms of the political parties when it comes to the budget issue. Thank you very much.
Thanks, SG. I'm really trying for us to wind up, and in the interest of time, but I'll ask the two colleagues to attend to those questions from yeah.
Thank you so much to the SG for comprehensively dealing. Perhaps I want to note the Chief Whip of Parliament is also in the room, and I want to acknowledge the fact that part of the work that has to be done encompasses the legislative part is something that we are going to consult and work with the Chief Whip, the Speaker, and the respective committees. You raised the question about, as the SG has already responded, the bill that has been tabled as per statement is the rates and monetary amounts and the amendment of revenue laws bill, which has been tabled. That means then Parliament will consider that retains VAT at 15%. What then equally has happened is the withdrawal in the same statement of the Division of Revenue bill and the Appropriation bill. Those bills are processed through the Money Bills and Related Matters Act, which then means they will then, firstly, a revised fiscal framework has to be tabled to the Finance Portfolio Committee. That then will come to the Appropriations Committee. We will then take the respective bills, the Division of Revenue and the Appropriations bill, so that they are consistent with the fiscal framework. The reason why that process is stipulated in that manner is because if you want to make amendments to the Division of Revenue bill and the Appropriations bill, they form within the Appropriations Committee, and there's a prescription as to how you do that. So that prescription will then have to be followed. The 3-day issue then falls away in that sense because the bills have been withdrawn, the other two. The last thing then I think is important to note is that it is not a unique time in passing of the budget. If you went to another cycle, last year was an election year. The elections took place, if I can recall, in May, which meant that the budgeting process only began then to be passed by July, which the legislation allows that within the 4 months, budget has to then be passed. So we have to work with that time and work with the Chief Whip to ensure that that process is fulfilled. As to the mechanisms of passing a bill would typically take, public consultations, etc., etc. So that work has to be done. I think it would be helpful also to recognize the powers of the minister, but to also recognize, lastly, this issue about alternative revenue as it ameliorates the loss of the 0.5% VAT hike. We had extensive discussions. For example, the one bill which I know there's concurrence in working with the ANC and working with the the Department of Trade and Industry, is about how you levy a 6% sin tax on online gambling, as an example. If you were to levy that and pass the appropriate legislation by the medium-term budget policy statement, it means that in the medium-term framework, in its broadest page, you will be able to replace that income along with efforts done by SARS, along with efforts done by the NPA, and these were discussions that were taking place about how we recoup revenue and then use the Division of Revenue Bill to be able to ensure that the expenditure cuts are done consistent with the law. In fact, the Committee of Appropriation that met during the week of this week, and part of the work that we were looking at was some of those expenditure questions as consistent with the previous bill. And now that process has to be held in abeyance because now a new Division of Revenue Bill has to come in, an appropriations bill. So that work will continue because it's part of the work of Parliament and about ensuring that ultimately we get a growth trajectory and then we'll fulfill the legislative aspects. Dear Lord.